Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live stream. In this live stream, we are going to interview one of our content creators here, and I will bring them up here. Hello, and
Greetings.
welcome. So, may you please introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, so I am the landline corner. I've been making kind of content on and off since about 2016, and I pretty much entered the landline scene in 2018, pretty much unexpected because I'd gotten a VTEC VT9162 from a relative's house, and then I got into landlines in about 2020, and then really entered a collecting scene in 2022, starting with a EXCI 7980. I'm also into different hobbies as well, like EAS and video game consoles and computers and such. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great. So, the first question that I think everyone has, and I have, is that what were your interests into coming into the telephone community, and uh, how did you start liking telephones, basically?
Um, I had a friend that I knew who collected them, specifically Luna's Retrotech, and then I also started noticing Jordan use videos around the time because of it being put into a recommended scheme on my main channel. And then I knew Luna a lot, and then eventually I ended up into it as well.
Great. So, another question is that when did you started posting contents about your phones on YouTube?
That would probably be about. It was in the later part of 2022 because I uploaded a video of me testing out my KX TG7641's one of its handsets because I had gotten a KX TG A660 at that time just by itself as an accessory, and then later on testing out my EXI 7980, and that was really where it's all started.
Great. So, here's a trick question for you. Uh, have you ever seen a landline phone that you have ever like hated or just you didn't like the design of it? What would it be?
Pretty much any of the early 2000s a lot of the like very early 2000s GE sets, like my one black one I have, because they tend to have a lot of issues.
I agree with you. And a question that I think it's kind of funny to ask is that have you ever had any funny or embarrassing voicemails on your phones?
Personally, with my new line, I have never gotten any voicemails yet from anybody, but at the same time, I've came across a few ones that were just weird on sets that I've gotten from like thrift stores and such. One that I remember was on one of my AT&T sets, and literally it was just nothing, and then randomly at once it just came in with some weird tone that sounded kind of like it was interference. I have a video of it up on my channel from a while ago, but I can't exactly remember what it was. But yeah, and then there was another one of just part of a healthcare service script that said to press one for like protection for 24 hours a day, that came on one of my Panasonic sets, and it was
Oh,
obviously a scammer because it just cut in the middle of it.
oh yeah, probably. You know that these days scammers just use any method that they could to get your money. And I also need to add something, is that when you see a pop-up or a scammer calling you, my advice is that answer the call and try to troll them, because if you troll and waste their time, they probably have less time to scam others or talk to others. So this would be the best way other than exposing them. But if you want to keep yourself safe and you don't want to just risk it or stuff, just don't answer the calls. Yeah, this was my comment.
Yeah, I usually don't answer them when they're on mobile, but when I'm on my landline, so I'm not even actually on my number's not even at my actual area code because I couldn't go with it. It didn't give me an option for it, so I had to go with something close to it. So it's kind of
So,
weird trying to find the area.
oh, okay. So, another question that I think also a lot of people might have is that what is your favorite phone in your setup? And I think, did you tell us before?
I don't really think I have yet, no. But my favorites would be a close call between my AT&T E5900B and my Panasonic KXT GK222.
Yeah, I had the TGK 222. I basically bought it from Germany and it was an amazing phone. It had a lot of features. There was this new feature that I saw which was called the Eco Mode Plus. I don't know if yours has it because some places the stuff is just different. And this was really interesting to me. And also, it has some beautiful ringers. My favorite ringer is the ringer number 30, and
Mhm.
it's just amazing in every aspect. I gave that phone away when I was coming to Canada. I gave it as a gift to a relative, and I think they're also using it happily and they love it.
Yeah, it is a really good set.
Yeah, I agree. So you bought yours from the United Kingdom, right?
Correct.
And it has the British answering system voice, if I'm not wrong.
Correct.
Yeah, I like that voice too. It's kind of interesting. Usually in phones back in my country, we had these voices usually because I think the phones that were kind of made for our country were manufactured in the UK. So I think that's one of the reasons. Okay, so what is a brand that you really hate?
In general, honestly, it'd be GE because I've seen like not even just their telephone equipment. I've had a weather radio that the speaker was bad on, and then I've had a lot of appliances I've seen just die.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also have a GE cordless phone and a GE answering system. The GE cordless phone has an awful speaker, and the answering system just doesn't just turn on. It's kind of weird. It works
My
weird.
black set that I have, it appears to kind of work. I don't know if it's just a battery or what, but it'll beep and then flash the screen backlight a few seconds, like from dim to a little bit higher up, and then just shut off.
Oh yeah, was it the one that because I remember you sent us a video about the phone ringing and it turning off. Was it that?
Yes, it was that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, some of the phones had a lot of problems. Like VTech, I because I have some of the phones. Uh,
All right, I'll
back
be
in
right
like
back. I gotta
the
go.
okay, yeah, I'm just gonna say it here until he comes back, and I will also tell this when he's here too. So, back in early VTech 2.4 gigahertz phones, usually the displays had a problem and the displays would just disconnect from the motherboard and the pixels would just die. And in order to fix that issue, you needed to have a T-tip tool and you needed to place it on your soldering iron and then you needed to solder those back together, solder the flat cable and just uh, put pressure on the flat cable until the glue sticks to the motherboard again. And I unfortunately destroyed the phone using that method because the glue was just the flat cable glue was awful. which it came
Yeah.
off and the flat cable was destroyed. Have you ever had any uh, same problems with your VTech phones that had any display problems?
My both my VT9162s have screen problems, and then my 5850 also has a few lines out.
Oh yeah. Well, it's only because some bad manufacturing, you know.
Yeah.
VTech did that in the early 2.4s and it had a lot of problems. Like I see a lot of 2.4s in the thrift stores now and people throwing them out or hating on them. Like if you go on Amazon, there are some old reviews from those products. Everyone just says that the display goes out and these stuff. It was a downfall for VTech, but VTech kind of improved when creating the Deck 6.
Yeah. My fun fact about my 5850 is that it actually had another handset with it, but I it's still at the thrift store that I got it from, and I've not picked it up because it has a really bad version of the screen issues to where
Oh,
most of the lines are all kind. It's not as bad as my BT9162s, both of them, but yeah, it's still pretty bad on the other one. If I could stop hiccuping, sorry, but yeah,
yeah. Well, usually these phones have these problems, and I think you can fix them if you do have the T-tip tool. You can fix the screen with that, and it will be just fine. But it's really interesting that no one took the phone for like how long did you own that 5850?
uh, 5850 I've had for about almost a month now, but at the same time, that other handset doesn't, they didn't have the accessory base for it, so it's pretty much just sitting there by itself.
Oh yeah. So this is a VTech 5850, right? Let me just share my screen for a
Correct.
sec. Uh, here. Here's the 5850, right?
Correct, yes. My guess is that it would
Yeah.
have originally been one of the two handset models, and then, yeah,
Yeah, it will probably be this one. And
yep,
oh yeah, you have a famous meme on this set.
yes, my original "I'm hungry in a minute" clip came from it, my 5850, and then my what is this set called? I always forget it. My AT&T Seal 84365 also has it on there.
That's interesting. Well, that video blew up. So, do you have anything to add about it? And how did it blow up?
Um, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised at the fact that it blew up, but my original idea behind it was I was watching a perfectly cut screens video, and that clip came up, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of silly. And the Foghorn meme kind of came out by Kaiko at the time, so I ended up deciding to just come up with my own thing, and somehow it ended up in people's recommended videos, and there it was.
Yeah, well, a lot of people love memes, and also who doesn't like the crudes? And basically, you know that I'm hungry in a minute is basically a meme on other places, and it has a lot of views. And basically, uh, that video of yours was like people loved it because first they were impressed of how VTech was a phone manufacturer, and because if I go into your video comments on that video, you can see that everyone is shocked that VTech creates phones, and
Yeah,
I, I can say that the recording quality on that was amazing, and basically it kind of had this conflict thing, had this glitchy thing, which made it so interesting for others. And I congratulate you on that. You just made the biggest internet phone meme that I could ever see in my life.
okay. But yeah,
No
it's
problem.
became my right now. It's currently my second most viewed video behind my one video I made of paging my phone setup that I had back in my old apartment, which is now gone.
Yeah. Usually, I remember back in like 2022, like December or stuff, people loved phones ringings because I also posted some videos back in December of 2022, and one of them just got 33,000 views, which I'm so impressed. Like, it's still there. If I show it to you on my screen, you can see that people back in that time, like 8 months ago, people watched phones ringings, and we had like a great interaction with our videos. As you can see, here is the
Yeah, it
33K.
blew up.
Yeah. And also I have a short that blew up. Basically it's this one here. I
With 30
taught
seconds.
I taught how to reset your Panasonic phone, which I never thought it would blow up because I thought people might know it somewhere. And there are some other useful tricks that I know, which I uploaded in this video right here. Let me find it. Yeah, it's here. So here I taught you how to find the usage time and how to reset your phone and how to also set greeting only, which a lot of you might know how to set greeting only, but I didn't know in my time. I just found out 8 months ago that you can turn on greeting only on your phones.
Yeah. My rigging videos have never really like gotten very much views. My first one I ever did, which was back when I still was using the Magic Jack for the limited time that I did, which was which it was specifically recorded on the night of like late night of January 1st of this year and then into January 2nd because well it became 12 a.m. during the recording times of it, and that has a thousand over 1.7K views.
Yeah,
Which
your first video, right?
this was it was one of my it was let's see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was my eighth video I came out with.
Okay, let me find it, and if you like it, we will show it.
But yeah, fun fact about that: that morning, that night, I was going to originally do an alarm clock sound off because I would usually do sound offs for New Year's, and then my mom last minute ruined plans, and I ended up having to stay over at my grandparents for the New Year's Eve, which at the time I wasn't over here full time, and then yeah, that ended up falling through, so I just rang my setup.
That's great. Well, I'm happy that you recorded a ringing video out of that because I think people loved it. And I myself, I like seeing phones ringing and seeing different phones ringing because I really like to see how their softwares work. And well,
Yeah,
I still watch your videos like too many times. Usually, and mostly the times that I'm also bored, I watch your videos. A great thing about you that you have is that you use humor in your videos, which engages a lot of people in it. And also, you just choose great topics. Like, for example, the bloopers that you like, some of your phones make bloopers, right? The bloopers that you include, they're sometimes funny. And when you talk in the videos, and this makes the viewers engage to your content and they like watching it, which it's amazing in my opinion.
yeah, I've had a lot of fails happen in my videos. Specifically, the one that stands out to me was when I was doing my second Panasonic Paging Chaos video, which eventually I'm going to do another one of those, but I have to get some more rechargeable AAAs since I had a few that were not working or were starting to leak on me. And the part that standed out on me in that one was the fact that when I went to go turn off the KXTG7641 and my TGEA40 instead fell off of its dock.
Yeah, that was the funniest one. Like if you go in the comments, everyone was just saying the poor KXTGE40.
Yeah, the story behind that it specifically is that I got that set from a thrift store, by itself because at the time I thought that it would work on my TGA 660 dock that I had left over from when I first got my TG 7641, and yeah, it didn't work, and I still haven't ever gotten to around to getting a dock for it. So at the time, I would sit it up on that dock to use as a stand, since well, even my cat jumping off the window at the time probably could have knocked it over.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it sat on that dock for a while, and I would just swap the batteries between it and the TGA 660 every once in a while, and then I would sit the TGA 660 on the 7641, and then have the TGA 40 just sitting up on the dock, and it liked the fall a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, at the time, since I didn't really use my TV that often back when I was at the apartment towards the end, I took the remote and I had to stand it up on the back of my bookshelf I had at the time to keep it from falling over and onto the ground, which, well, that didn't work because the remote itself also liked to fall.
Yeah. Well, it's a funny story, you know. Also, a kind of personal question that I have. It's I think it's nothing like that big. If you're comfortable, you can answer. So, what were your folks' reaction to you gaining interests into phones?
Nobody in my family really knows that much about it, except for like my grandparents who didn't really care. And then, of course, my mom was more focused on yelling at me because I was waiting on my current job now to get back with me more than
Yeah,
on what was around my room. So nobody really like knows about it other than really my grandparents. And then there's my aunt as well, who's seen my setup.
yeah. Well, my story is basically something similar to yours. Uh, I made a deal with my family that my deal is that everything I buy, any telephones or any stuff from the thrift stores, would stay in my room, and I won't use any storage units or any other stuff in their house. So that's how we made a deal. So that's why all of my phones are in my room, and I have two computers in my room and these stuff. And I have a bed with a storage, which I save everything in that, and a closet. So that's how we get things going. And also, sometimes my parents get angry at me when the phone rings, and the reaction is kind of funny because they just like say, "Shut that phone off" and something like that, and I just say it's not my fault. They call me and they just kind of get cross with me, unfortunately. But yeah, mostly they don't think bad about these stuff. My family basically sees my channel and they say that I do good stuff reviewing them, and I hope that I can keep continuing on making this content because it's really my interest. And I hope people could deal with it basically because it's nothing I can do about it. It's basically our interest, right?
Yeah, I actually have a funny story from back in my apartment days. Because back then, I had to have most of my weather radios I had on silent because they would be too loud and my mom would just complain all the time. But there was one time, it was actually this February, where there was a severe weather event going on, and I had a new radio that I was testing out, which was the I think it's the advanced model number 3169, if I remember right. I can't remember the model number by name, but and its siren is cool and pretty quiet, but at the same time, it does it so repetitively that it gets annoying. And
Yeah.
sorry if this sounds kind of weird, but my mom told me to turn it off or she'd shove it up my rear end.
Oh,
So I just put it on mute and had it up in my window for the rest of the event.
yeah. Well, don't worry. Usually these things happen. And the thing is, they others might not understand our interests, And this is basically what they do. When they don't understand our interests, the main thing that they do is to freak out or complain. I have a lot of friends who sometimes I go thrift shopping with. Uh, I go thrift shopping with three of them. And when I tell them about my telephone story or when I buy telephones from the thrift shop, they don't say anything usually because they also have another interest, and luckily those three respect my interests. But the other ones basically they just kind of complain at me and they say, "Why do you like telephones? Like, are you crazy and stuff?" And I have a message to them if they are watching this somehow. It's basically my interest, and I can do nothing about it. Sorry about that blooper right there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, what am I thinking of? Yeah, I do have like IRL friends that know about my channel. I don't really talk about things that much really in like public things about my personal life, but some of them found out mainly through my what am I, mainly through my like connections on my Discord. Except
Yeah.
this channel is not put on my like this one's not put in my connections because I've just been too lazy to do it. But yeah, people have found my like some of them have found through my like channel and stuff, and then people in my band or in our marching band chat from 2020 to 2021, they found out about it after my old trombone section leader from the time. She found my video on my main channel where I printed out a picture of a metal pipe through my one printer I have. Just
Yeah.
put it and just did the metal pipe sound effect was it fully printed out. But she found it out there, which my CF6124 actually made an appearance in that video. So yeah,
Oh, so they found out like that.
they don't really like they don't really like care too much. They're fine with it. They
Yeah.
don't really complain or anything. They just have it on the side area basically.
Yeah. And with my friends too, they don't really basically care and stuff, but sometimes it's really interesting for them. Like, uh, I think it was around 3 days ago. I had a comment from a dude on my new channel. Let me just bring the comment for myself here. Uh, he or she basically said that my YouTube recommended is a bit weird, but this is different, I guess. And it was really interested for them to see landline telephone contents on this channel. And I basically wrote a whole essay for them, telling them that yes, I do videos on landline telephones. I know that it's kind of outdated or stuff, and I know it might be interesting for you, but this is what I do and stuff. And basically, you can see that comment too. But yeah, it's really interesting for some people, and it's interesting for me that some people don't even know what are landlines, because back in my country, everyone knows what is landlines because we use landlines still to this day because of the clearer quality of the voice that you get there, and also an easier way of talking to your relatives or dialing another city, because we have different area codes for each city, and if you kind of make outside calls from your city to another city, I think you will get charged more because you need to enter the area code and stuff. It's a bit different in my country.
Yeah, here it's like kind of been pushed aside because of what am I thinking of? Mainly like cell phones. Where the cell phone mainly came from the U.S. mainly with Motorola bringing out the Dynatac back in I think it was 1983 if I remember right. And then since then it just blew up in popularity and landlines pretty much fell to pretty much nothing. The place that I work at, which is a grocery store that's mainly native to my area, They only sell a select few VTech and AT&T sets now.
Oh yeah, here too, and like Best Buy or uh Canadian Tire or some other stores, they basically sell VTech CS6114 and 6124 and 6929 and some Panasonic KXTGC phones. And but we have another store which is called London Drugs. London Drugs is basically a Canadian retail company, and they sell some good like earlier Deck 6 phones too, which we have. And yeah, I kind of do most of my new phones. I kind of buy most of my new phones from there, but I've been buying from the thrift store for a long time now. I think for like 8 months because when I buy from thrift stores, I save a lot of money, and then I get more phones. But for example, when I want to buy a new phone or from a retail store, something like that, I need to pay $150, and I just waste my money on getting and I get one set. But when I buy from the thrift store, uh, I just get a lot of phones, and that's the great point of it. And I find better phones too.
Yeah, oh, I don't know what that was, but most of my new sets that I have that I got, like my sets that I got brand new, they were all new old stock. Like my EWCI 936 partially was, although it's been opened, and then my what is that set? My EXI 8966, which is coming very soon. It's brand new in box, and then there's like my like almost brand new sets that came out recently. Those all came. Those are were never new, but they were bought at pretty good prices because my newer sets that I have are all $100 sets easily. Which there's my DLP 73510, which I got from Ohio Thrift, and then there's my I can't remember what it's called. Let me look real quick. Then there's my CL 83519, which a friend of mine found at I think Habitat of Humanity Restore with the full set, which I'm going to be going and picking up tomorrow.
That's interesting. Yeah, I also found some like $200, $100 phones from the thrift store. And basically, an amazing find that I had recently was the Cisco Linksys SPA 8000 VoIP gateway, which makes your IP line or IP stuff into regular phone lines. And I got that for $10. It was
Yeah,
really
it's the
cheap.
so it's
And
pretty much the what are they called? The ATAs, kind of like that.
yeah, yeah, something like that. And basically, this thing was around like $200 when it was like new. And mine, luckily, was new in the box, and nobody ever used it before. So it was so easy setting it up. I also got myself a Ring Central line. I also have a question from you. I wanted to ask that how do you basically run FreePBX? Do you download it on your computer as a software, or how do you use it with VMs?
So I haven't been able to get around to get my FreePBX fully set up yet with the person that's helped me out doing it. But it runs off Linux, so it'd have to be run through a virtual machine of some sort, of which right now I am not sure exactly what one it runs off of, but yeah, that's something I'm definitely gonna have to learn a lot about in the future.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that the Ring Central that I have, I need to pay like for each extension, but with FreePBX I can have like any extensions that I want. So the thing is, I have a Linux VM on my main computer. And what happens if I go there and download the ISO file there? Would it destroy my Linux, or just should I download it there?
Um, to be honest, when the VM that I have it, and I want to have it running off of, when we were doing like the initial installation, I think we installed it through Windows, and then I don't know exactly what he did from there, but he got it over onto the virtual machine, and then we were going through the setup process there. But then I had to go do something, and then he had to go. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, I gotta figure out the stuff with mine too. I might search some stuff tonight, and I have an Asus VivoBook laptop there. I need to use the virtual machine of that one to do the stuff with the FreePBX. And if that works, I can hopefully get things running.
yeah.
I've
I could also
also
see if the person that I'm running off of, I could also see if he could help you set it up as well. But it'll depend on when I can get around to it because I also have to see if I can get a hold of Sonic VoIP eventually to see about if I can get the software of theirs that's set into my T57W's firmware off of it, and then
yeah.
from there just figure it out, I guess.
Yeah, I use Ring Central for my phone provider for my VoIP stuff, and I've also ordered a Cisco CP 7970, which the picture is on my profile,
Yeah,
and it will come in Tuesday, I think, and I I will set it up there. An interesting thing about the VoIP line is that this is the dial tone. It's kind of highly pitched. Like the pitch is higher than the normal dial tone that we hear, and the ring pattern is kind of weird. It's basically three ring patterns in a row.
I kind of remember the I've heard the dial tone on it. I've
Yeah,
seen like
this
the
is the
dial tone before through
yeah, this is the dial tone. It's basically kind of high, more higher pitched than the usual one that we hear.
yeah. An interesting thing about the line I run off of, which is Uma, is that their dial tone is like extremely high pitched, and it also has a thing to it. I'll see if I can pick it up on my AT&T set here. Where is my speaker
Sure.
button? Uh, this is how rarely I ever use the set. I don't even know where the voice button is. There it is.
Well, it basically has an animation thing to it. The
Yeah, it
voice,
has an
like,
animation to it, and then it's a really high pitch dial tone.
yeah. Well, the first thing that it does, it's really interesting. Uh, Wait, what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's really interesting when the first tone comes there, and the dial tone. I think it's kind of annoying, to be honest, because it's too high pitched, and some people might find it annoying. You know,
Yeah,
it could
it's
be loud
ridiculously high
sometimes.
pitched.
Yeah, yeah. Like for example, the normal dial tone that we have, it's kind of my phone died. Okay, let me use another one. Dial tone. Well, this is lower pitched, and I think a lot of people are used to that sound. But anyway, it's personal opinions. Okay, so it's time. It's the time for us to answer the comments and answer any fan questions if you like. So here we have two comments from uh, Rokib Abdur, something. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. They say Rod is so good you're with the random collected. And by the way, it's me, Z. I'm on my new account. Oh yeah, I know Z. Yeah, shout out to Z. He's one of my old subscribers, and also he said shout out to the landline corner. I like your vids.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for supporting us. And also, what do you think that a person or a fan? Wait a sec. Let me rephrase. What question do you think a fan might ask you? If you like, answer it here.
I feel like one of the main like questions that would come out would be like something like how many phones I have, which to be honest, I can't really like give a full estimate to that as I've had many new sets since the last collection update I made like on the thing. And then another one would probably be like what were my first sets I had, my like newest sets, which for my first set it'd be my original VTech VT9162, which is my one that unfortunately has the antenna cover busted off, which I lost the cover quite a long time ago. I'm not sure what happened to it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Then my most recent set, which isn't my, or at least my most recent purchase set, which isn't here yet, is my Uniden EXI 8966.
Oh, it's the new one that you've ordered?
Yeah, which the seller is sending shipping out this Saturday, which hopefully it'll get here before my post office shuts down, since apparently that's not a good thing to have anymore. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah. So why is your post office shutting down?
There's not really been a specified reason, but they're shutting it down next Saturday.
Uh, well, how are you gonna receive any deliveries? I think,
So there's a couple of ways that it could happen, which one way could be that I could ship it over to here, even though we don't have a mailbox, but they've set it up on the porch. Except the only problem with that is USPS was a butt with my CL 83519 and still put it at the post office when I put the address to here. And
yeah.
then they're also installing the current PO boxes over at a gas station nearby.
Okay, well, that's great. So, also, in addition to your topic that you were talking about your quantity of your landline phones, I forgot to add that. So last time I counted, I had around 58, and now I added three. I have 61. Yeah, that's
I
a lot.
I think I had around 40 or 50 sets last time I checked, but
Yeah,
I can't exactly be for sure on it because it's also 2 a.m. in the morning and my brain likes to shut down.
yeah. Well, I can tell you that this past month, my friend that I go thrift shopping with told me that he has a meeting every Sunday and close to the thrift store, and let's go to the thrift store. So in the past month, every Sunday, my plan was thrift store, thrift store, thrift store, thrift store. And basically, that made me to have a lot of telephones. And I basically jumped from 38 to 61. I can tell you that. It was a
Yeah,
massive shopping this past month. Massive, I can tell you. But amazingly enough, I still have space for my phones, and hopefully I'm not getting kicked out with my phones one day.
yeah.
I'm joking. I'm joking. I won't. But yeah, sure.
But yeah, one funny thing that I've noticed with me is the fact that ever since I first started working back in my original job, even though the managers there were something, but every single like thing I've gotten into collecting, other than mainly computer stuff, has exploded exponentially because back before I got my first job, I think in the weather radio area, I had about 15 or 20, and now I'm at, I think, 84 last time I checked. And
Yeah.
then I only had two landline sets back then, which were my two that I got back in 2018, which was my first VT9162 and my CS6829. And then now I have a ton of sets.
Yeah, same. I started collecting phones from 2014-15, and basically I was interested in phones since I was a kid, or from the time that I started remembering things and understanding stuff. And the phone that made me interested into landline telephones were it's a Persian branded phone, so you might have not heard it. So the brand name is Technoto and the model number is TF5914, which I have the red one and the purple one. They were for my grandparents. I just took them last time when I went to my country. And these were the phones that made me interested into landline telephones. And I remember how much I struggled bringing this phone into our house because my parents would just say that you're bringing garbage into our home and stuff. And yeah, but when I grew up and when I understood life, kind of, uh, I started getting my phones and I got my dream phone, which it was a Tecnotel TF5914. And yeah, that basically started my interest from like 2010 and stuff. And then on 2014, 15, started collecting. And my first phone in my collection was the TGB 210 from Panasonic.
Yeah, I never really. I ended up actually with a couple of landline phones before I even got into collecting them, and it was kind of a weird story on my first one, which was my VT9162, my original one, because we were clearing out a house of a relative. It was about January. It was from early to mid 2018, and we were clearing out a house of a relative who had unfortunately passed away in 2017. I can't remember
Uh,
what exactly
may God
happened,
bless them.
but there was a lot of telephone sets there, and if I were into telephones, I would have had a good chunk back then. Because there was many phones there, mainly VTech, but I also remember there being a Bell Phones brand cordless phone there, but I didn't get that. But I sold the VT9162 sitting on a what am I
Yeah.
thinking of? I found it on a table down in the basement, and it was sitting there unplugged. And then I was like, "No, why not?" So that's pretty much how I ended up with that.
Yeah. Well, it's
But yeah,
interesting.
I kind of regret not getting the Bell phone system because I was originally thinking of actually getting that, but we were taking a lot of the older electronics items that were in there that were left over, and we were giving them to my grandpa on my dad's side because he collected pretty much anything electronics.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I don't know what happened to it since then because we actually went through like a lot of the electronics items that he had left over, which I ended up with a Radio Shack calculator, which I have sitting on my desk, and then a Sony Walkman cassette player. But I never saw that set ever again.
Wait, what? Why did this came here? Okay. So I can announce that this is the end of the interview, and thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure talking to you and meeting you,
No problem.
and it was amazing. So, anything you would like to add to the conversation, and anything you would like to say to the fans?
Not right now, but actually, I have one thing to add is if you like with the UMA sets, one interesting thing that I learned is the fact that if you do get like one of the bases with the HD3 handset, and then you
Yeah.
if you like hook up phones to them and stuff, the intercom on the HD3, if you set it to the base, you can actually ring whatever telephone's hooked up onto the line.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I learned that like maybe a few days ago because I found out there was an intercom option on there, and I saw that there was an option for the base. So I was like, okay, maybe it'd be like the standard thing where it would just page the base itself. So I
Yeah.
pressed
Well,
on it, and then my ITT went off, and everything started ringing. I was like, wait, what?
yeah. I think you can just record phones ringing videos out of that.
So yeah, that does make it a lot easier for me because
Uh,
it does pretty much it's pretty
Yeah.
much just a standard ring, except it changes it from like with my ringing where it would be anonymous since I do *67 and then a number to where it would just say
Yeah.
intercom, which right now I don't have any caller ID announce sets currently set up right now because my CL84365 is a turd and won't do it.
Oh. What happened to your E500 5900B? Because I remember that said had a number announced in one of your videos.
My E5900B is actually currently in my setup, and it's what I'm using for my answering system.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, it does have the it does have the number announced on the first ring.
Oh yeah. So I think that counts, doesn't it?
Technically, yes, but at the same time, it doesn't do like the caller ID. It just does the telephone number.
Yeah. Well, an interesting thing in my line setup that I found out yesterday when I got the VoIP line is that I finally, I am finally able to have the name private caller on my phones, which that's so interesting for me because Panasonic talking caller ID phones, when you dial with a private number and the caller ID shows that it's a private caller, caller ID voice changes and it's like a pre-recorded recording, which I think they recorded in Panasonic, which is really interesting. And I, I'm so happy about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that does bring back a lot of nostalgia, especially for people who watched Jordan Hughes videos back before the Ring It came around.
same. I started up expanding my collection when I watched Jordan Yu's video. I had a huge stop from 2000 and 2015 till 2020. I had a huge stop. Then I came back uh on in 2020 with a phone with the Panasonic KXTG 3721 and then the TGH 262 from Panasonic. And then I kept extending my collection until to this day, which you can see I have around 61 phones, which
Yeah,
it's,
I'm
yeah,
sorry
it's
for
mind
interrupting.
blowing. No worries, no worries. Go on.
But yeah, my collection stopped after I got my CS 6829 because I never really had much of an interest in it at the time, and it was just mainly for looking at it at the time. Because my CL82 or no, not what am I thinking? My CS 6829 was actually my grandparents' old phone, and they had upgraded from it because to a AT&T I mean EL series set, which I can't remember the model number exactly because it's been 3 years since they had it last.
Yeah.
But what am I thinking of? They had upgraded from it because if you tried to call somebody from it, it would not this the microphone would not work.
Uh,
But yeah, I found that out when we were actually going to go get a new set because at the time I was originally going to see if I could find a Panasonic set for them. But the thing was, they only wanted just the handset and the base, and none of the places were selling any Panasonic sets without an accessory. So we
Mm,
ended up having to go with the AT&T, and T, and they swapped back to VTech right afterwards. But then I never really got anything, even through my first initial interest in it in 2020, until about 2022 when I ordered my EXAI 7980.
interesting. So I think that's it for our interview, if it's okay. And it was a pleasure really having you. It was an amazing interview, and we learned more about each other and our interests and the phones we have. And basically, I hope everyone found this interview interesting. Also, please consider supporting the Landline Corner and me. And thank you for watching, and I hope all of you have an amazing day.
All right, well, I will see you.
Yeah, see you all. Have a nice day, and goodbye.